Hello, I'm Annie Miller with Fit Design by Annie, and today I want to talk about the 5 types of movement patterns, what they are, and different exercises that you can do to use those movement patterns. And to start off, the 5 movement patterns are a squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, and a carry. So for a squat, that is going to be any kind of squat, a bodyweight squat, a dumbbell squat, a goblet squat with a kettlebell at your chest, a front squat with a barbell, a back squat with a barbell, zercher squats, sumo squats, all of the squats. So next is a hinge. With the hinge, that is just like a hip thrust, a dumbbell or kettlebell deadlift, RDL, so Romanian deadlifts, barbell deadlifts, sumo deadlifts. A hinge is just where you're hinging at the hips versus where a squat, the hips and the knees are both opening. For push and pull, I am referring to the upper body. So you have upper body pushing like a push-up or pressing overhead with a barbell, dumbbells, kettlebell, any type of overhead movement. With the push-up, you could also do dumbbell bench press or barbell bench press. Any of those would work. For upper body pulling, you have TRX rows, you have pull-ups, chin-ups, bent over barbell rows, inverted rows where you're under a bar and pulling yourself up. You're just using your upper body to pull versus push. From there, we can move on to carries. So this is something that rarely gets done. It's used often in like strongman competitions or in CrossFit, but it literally is just picking something up off the floor and walking with it. You're carrying it overhead, you're carrying it in one hand, 2 hands, over your shoulders. So those are our 5 movements: squat, hinge, push, pull, and carry. These 5 movements are just movements that humans should be able to do. These are functional movements. They're movements that we should, as humans, have the mobility and the strength to execute properly. So now we're going to move into me showing you those exercises and the main points that you should be thinking about when you're implementing these into your training. With the squat, the knees and hips both close and open at the same rate. The knee drives over the toes while the entire foot stays on the ground. Your chest angle will be determined by your hip and ankle mobility as well as your depth, and the goal is to get at least to parallel with the squats while keeping a neutral spine. A hip hinge is a hip dominant movement. The knees may bend, but the glutes and hamstrings are doing most of the work, and the shins remain vertical, so they're straight up and down. When hinging at the hips, the chest will drop forward to counteract the hips driving back. Per usual, the spine needs to stay neutral. For upper body pushing, I want to touch on both the dumbbell bench and the overhead barbell press. For dumbbell bench or barbell bench, and any variation of those, it's vital that the shoulder blades stay packed, meaning that they are down and back. This keeps the shoulder in a safe position for pressing. You want to slightly arch your back and squeeze your glutes super tight. The head, the upper back, and the butt stay glued to the bench, and your feet need to stay glued to the floor. The shoulders stay packed the entire time, so at the top you do not deflate your chest. Keep a big chest the entire movement. For overhead press, the feet are shoulder width, you have soft knees, you have super tight glutes and a tight core with the rib cage pinned down, and the spine is neutral. As you press, the bar should stay as close to your face as you can possibly get it. You want the bar to stay over the center of your foot through the entire movement as much as possible. At the top, your biceps should be in line with your ears and your head pokes through just slightly, and there should be no movement through the core or the spine. You bring the bar back down the exact same way. Keep it as close to your face as you possibly can. Moving on to upper body pulling. My belief is that everyone should be doing pull-ups or chin-ups if their body allows it. I don't care if they are assisted or not, but you need to do them if you can. So traditional pull-ups, the hands are just outside the shoulders, palm facing away from you, and you are gripping the entire bar. So your hand is open, your thumb is wrapping around the bar, and your fingers are wrapping around the bar. You'll start off in the full hang position, and you initiate the pull via packing the shoulders. So you pull those shoulder blades down and back, creating space between your ears and your shoulders. Then you drive the elbows down, pulling your chin above the bar. At the top, the neck should be neutral, and under no circumstance should you be bobbing your chin above the bar without actually getting your head above the bar. The shoulders are packed the entire time so that at the top, the shoulders and traps are not creeping up towards the ears, and as you release, the movement should be controlled all the way down to the dead hang position before you perform another pull-up. Now let's talk about carries. Like I said, this is a neglected yet very simple exercise that strengthens the core and provides shoulder stability. So for the sake of time and simplicity, I'm just going to go over the dual dumbbell farmer's carry. Once the weight gets heavy enough or you carry the weight for a long enough period of time, this is also an amazing exercise to increase grip strength. Lifting the weight up to a standing position so the kettlebells or dumbbells are by your sides. Make sure the shoulders are packed so the shoulder blades are pulled down and back. Your core is tight and your eyes are straight forward. As you begin to walk, the goal is to keep the core nice and stable, avoiding leaning side to side, and to keep the shoulders packed like you're squeezing an orange in your armpit. So you can tell if you're doing this correctly because the weights will not be swinging at your sides. Alright, so now that you know what the 5 movement patterns are, go ahead and give them a try in your workouts. Pay attention to them in your workouts and maybe even try to identify them in the workouts that you have for the challenge or workouts that you're doing on your own. If you're in my 6-week transformation, you should definitely see almost all of those. So make sure you're paying attention to them. Pay attention to the cues that I gave you. If you have questions, per usual, just ask them inside the Facebook group. You can tag me in questions on Instagram or feel free to shoot me an email and ask questions. I am more than willing to help you with these exercises and making them doable and a reality for you. So that is all I have for these movements, and I will see you in the next video.